So after watching my first 3 videos on the Union bosses, you have mastered all of those, and now you're stuck on the Union boss disorder. Well, fear not, folks, for I am here to help you understand this boss a little bit better and hopefully score high for your Union. So like we've always done, we will go through the skills, we'll look at some of the teams my Union's been running, and talk about some potential alternatives to help you boss it. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hello everyone, Ragewood here, back with another Etheria restart video, and we are here with Union Boss Disorder, the third one in the rotation this week. It is the hardest, but hopefully with a bit of guidance and clarity on some things, we can help you score high. Now, as you can see, I have not got the perfect score. I did manage to get the triple rewards though, so I'm very happy with that. So I'm not going to push any further today. Let's talk about the skills. Now the skills follow a similar play pattern to all of the others, starting with an AoE, single target, 2 more AoEs with some defense ignore built into it. Passives are also the same, where he will power up after every 2 turns he takes increased damage to hit the weak affinity, which is constant in this point, and I honestly don't remember this last one. But there we go. So skill 1 then, 2 hits AoE, and if we have fewer than 2 debuffs, he will increase the damage that he deals to us. So already we can see what we're going to have to do here. We're going to have to bring lots of debuffs and lots of unique ones as well. Second skill, single heart target hit, places increased attack on himself. Nothing new there. Another AoE, but he'll purify 2 debuffs from himself. So it's important to remember that, because this next one is he ignores 100% of our defense on an AoE hit. But for every debuff he has, that defense breach is reduced to 33%. So yeah, the fact he's cleansing 2 from this first one and then dealing damage, I know in my run here, I was looking pretty low, so what I did is I saved my skills on this one, just took the AoE hit, then used them on this one to reduce this, and that allowed me to survive 1 more turn. Now, manual play, not many people have time for, including myself usually, but I was really close to the score here, so I just did it once, alright? Don't judge me, don't hate me on that one. Oh, this is it, yeah. And then his first passive, for every debuff he has, the damage he takes is increased up to 25%. Now, this used to not have a cap, it's now capped at 4. But in an ideal world, we want to try and keep 3 on him at any one time. Now, do note that dots do not work because you can't place them. But there is one super sneaky hero which is pretty amazing on this fight, which no one uses, and we'll come to that in a moment. Constant deals more damage, takes more turns. Let's take a look at some of the teams. So here are some of my Union's teams, and you're going to see a very common pick in an awful lot of them. So let's start with that one. It is, of course, Messiah. Messiah is the only real constant damage dealer, and he is king in this fight, especially in a revelation. Very nice. He does place vulnerable as well. It's a low chance, but he can still do it, so he's also contributing to that debuff quota that we need to meet in this fight. Kloss is the second common pick you're going to see here a lot. She brings 3 debuffs in decreased defense, decreased speed, and her unique one. Now, if you can get hack into proc before that 4th skill, or even before the 3rd skill actually, it is undispellable, so you're always going to have that counting towards your debuff quota, which is why she is so good in this fight. And being an RGB unit, she is not weak, nor is she strong. So yeah, just superb for this fight. Now, one that none of my Union have used at all right now, because we're all very much running the same team, but could be very useful for this fight, is Heinrich. Now, Heinrich can place 3 debuffs himself with block, wound, and his last words. Last words acting as a pseudo damage amp, increasing your crit and crit damage. Block stops the attack up going up, which is nice. Wound does nothing here, but it still counts towards your debuff quota. Now, something that I haven't tested since launch, but in the beta, people like Chloros' Doom Toll also counted, which was interesting considering it's yellow. Now, I haven't tested myself to see if that still works, but do double check it, test it yourself. I can't. Another damage option is Rosa, another neutral affinity option there with her Bladeheart Bloom as well, another unique debuff, so not a bad one to have either. And Ditting being another third damage dealer. But between Kloss and Heinrich, they bring 6 debuffs between them. So if you brought no other debuffs, you've already sort of met that title. But Heinrich, he's good, especially good in PvP, but he can be very squishy. So, do that what you will. But yeah, he could be another nice one to have. Seeing a few Freyas dotted around here as well due to that Nightweave going towards our debuff count. She also brings increased defense, which is just nice support, and increased attack. Nightmare, increasing the damage and giving you some life steal there as well, which is nice. A lot of us are using Lilies just for the speed lead and Ling Lows just because we have them built for healing. Obviously, you can bring in any healer of your choice. Chiaki's very nice because she's got the Origami Guardian, which might help you survive a blast. And Mia extends the duration of your buffs as well, which is cool. But you'll see that we are very much all following a similar tactic with our teams here. So not too much more to say or talk about. We do have a Holden here too, which is nice. There is one Heinrich down here. So we're going to see a couple of them pop up. But yeah, that's the team. So now let's talk about some of the other alternative options that you could bring. So this is not an Animus option, but this is a good shell to bring should you have access to it, which is Dark Moon, because it can extend the duration of your debuffs, and it gives you an extra 50% accuracy when fully maxed. I believe this is 40% when it's not maxed. But can help you out a lot of the time as well, especially if you can proc this with Kloss when you place that final hacking progress debuff. It can then make your hack in last 3 turns, which is really good. No one needs to say any more on that. But another useful shell that you could bring if you don't have that, I believe White Gale here also extends the duration as well. So this is a lower level option, but yeah, just something to bear in mind if you're struggling keeping those debuffs up. Having a Dark Moon on one of your debuffers will help you. So into the Animus archive we come then. So a lot of us are using Lily mainly for the speed lead and the follow-up, as well as the cooldown reduction. She really is just a queen in a lot of places. But if you are just looking for the speed up, Mio and Doki Doki will work. Mio has speed increase, but she doesn't do anything else really. She does have a wound on her skill 2, which does help go towards your debuff quota, but do note that the freezes are not going to do anything in this fight. But is an option. Doki Doki obviously has backup, and Data Stream is working as a pseudo increased speed. You've also then got Kazami Kazuyo as an SR character, giving you increased speed and reducing your cooldowns as well by 1 turn, so kind of like a mini Lily. She has decreased speed herself, which is nice, and she can dispel the attack up, so is another budget option if you are stuck. Heinrich, as I sort of mentioned, sort of does everything that no one else can do, with the last words, the block and the wound, placing 3 on his own. I don't use him again because he's quite squishy, but if you have him and you don't really have much else in your account, certainly bring him into this fight. Damage dealers we've sort of already covered. Messiah is king, Rosa is a second option, Ditting is another great option as well, placing vulnerable, sort of like Messiah. He's just not positive affinity, which isn't necessarily a bad thing here. You've then also got, Chloros. Outside of that, I don't think anyone else does anything particularly amazing. Obviously use Shadar or Born if you've leveled them, if you don't have any of the other damage dealers I mentioned. Victor, from what I've seen now, has basically fallen off a cliff, which is a real shame, so don't use him if you can. But the secret tech for this fight, if you have her leveled, is a Boro. Now, not many people will have her leveled, okay? But she is insane for this fight because there is no limit to the number of bleeds you can place. So, and it works kind of as a pseudo dot. So she can just place, if you can get her to go often enough, like if you pair her with a Lily and you just get her to go constantly, she'll just keep placing bleeds, keep placing bleeds, keep placing bleeds, and you'll easily meet that debuff quota. Now, from the beta, I say the beta, that wasn't a cap, so she was insane on that fight, which is probably why they've put them up to a stack of 4 on the passive, where you do 25% increased damage for each debuff. She is probably why. Now, a lot of people won't have built her because she doesn't really do anything else in the game anywhere, but she excels in this fight. So this is your secret tech in a Boro. Because of the bleed. The bleeds themselves don't do a load, but if you stack enough of them, it will help over time. She also has decreased defense and decreased speed, so that's 3 debuffs there with her as well. So she is pretty nutty for this fight if you can keep her alive. That's the thing, it's a big if. So if you have a build, use her for this fight. She is very, very good. So that's our damage options done. Supports, as I say, healers, just bring whoever you can. A lot of us use Linglo. As I say, I really like Chiaki. Where is she? For the Origami Guardian, and I will be using it in PvP, so it can help you in a pinch. If you've got Sanya, use Sanya. If you've got Mia, use Mia. I don't think Mia brings any debuffs herself. No, she doesn't, but she can increase duration of your buffs, so if that's what's keeping you alive, can be clutch. And then sort of utility units. I've spoken about Kloss because everyone talks about Kloss. Let's be real here. But if you don't have Kloss, you can use Dinah, because Dinah's erosion counts towards your... where is she? Your debuff count. Okay, it does count as a debuff, so she also places 3, which is very nice, increasing your damage. If you're struggling to survive, you can use RC77 instead. Stun won't work here, but he does bring attack down and defense down. And defense down is probably the most important debuff to bring in this fight because it works twofold. It's decreasing the defense naturally, so you do more damage. And then with that passive where he takes 25% increased damage for each debuff, it's also counting towards that. So it works, say, twofold. Same with Vulnerable if you've got it. They both are really, really important debuffs to bring if you can. Other unique debuffs which a lot of people probably won't have thought about is Lilith. Now, I do not recommend using Lilith in any Union boss fight, but for those free-to-play players out there who don't have all of the characters in the game, Graceful Mischief does count towards your debuff quota. It is a unique debuff. Won't do anything in this particular fight, but if you're stuck and you can't quite get there, Graceful Mischief does count. But you can't increase her HP except for Sanya, so outside of that you can't really increase her damage, so which is why she's not really used. But if you're in a pinch, she will go towards your debuff quota. Hoi An places Wound, again, not ideal because she doesn't really do much else, but you can bring that in. Satomu also has block. Celince has Forgetfulness, which counts as well. Also brings decreased attack, which is nice. She can place it on her skill 1, but again, these two don't do anything there. But again, if you're in a pinch, it will count towards your debuff quota. And I think that sort of covers everyone in this particular fight. Obviously bring attack down if you can, squeeze it in. I can't in mine. Effect resistance is another option you can bring as well, so for you guys who've leveled Holden. Again, doesn't really do anything because the boss doesn't place debuffs, but it still counts towards your quota. So if you're struggling to survive and you need attack down and you've got him, he brings 2 on his own. So, in summary then, what would be the perfect team? Well, if we come back to our union, a lot of what we see here kind of is it, if you will. Messiah should be your damage dealer if you've got him. If you don't have him, Dieting is a good option, as mentioned. A lot of people have built him, so do use him if you can. Or Secret Tech Borrow is insane for this fight. Maybe I will do a showcase on her. I'll build her one day and do one. Kloss is your utility if you can, because of the hack in progress debuff that she brings as well. Okay, for your 3 debuffs. And decreased defense, as mentioned, is the most important one to bring in. If you don't have Kloss, Dinah would be my second in this instance because she also brings 3, and that erosion works as another form of damage amp. Third would probably be RC77, and then Grey at the bottom of the pile, not because he's bad, just because he only brings decreased defense. Support units, dealer's choice. We've used Ling Lo, so you might as well copy us and use Ling Lo. We've got Lily as our speed lead for the follow-ups on Messiah, and he also brings Vulnerable. And then we've all used Freya for the Nightmare. If you don't have Freya and your Ling Lo is skilled out and you're surviving, fine. I would then bring in Heinrich, just to make sure we always have 3 or 4 debuffs up at any one point. Like this team that we've got here, assuming everything goes well, is 5 debuffs, Vulnerable, Nightmare, and the 3 from Kloss. But it's nice to have redundancy. So if you can make the team, do it. Don't stress if you're not getting 100. I haven't got 100. A lot of us don't. But yeah, that's it for today, folks. So, in summary, as mentioned, 3 debuffs at all time if you can. Decreased defense and vulnerable should be a must if you can. But the more unique debuffs, the better. Make sure you've got plenty of support. Remember your fundamentals, and thanks for watching. So, take care, look after yourselves, work hard, but as always, play harder, and I will see you in another one soon. Cheers.